Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Nadex Morning Analysis this Wednesday, May 5th. My name is Todd Rich. I am with Nadex. With me, my good friend Brian Caprice from Keep Trading Simple. Welcome, Brian.
How are you doing today?
And before Brian and I talk about a couple of potential hot spots in the markets today, I do need to share this quick disclaimer that trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for everyone. That any trading decisions you make are solely your responsibility and at your own risk. And this is an educational session. Please do not construe anything Brian or I say as a buy or sell recommendation. We are doing this for your educational purposes. So I think today, one, we've got the U.S. oil inventory reports. We need to follow up on that as we discussed it yesterday. That is going to be at 10:30 this morning, 10:30 Eastern this morning, and we might see some movement in oil. So we'll definitely take a look over at the oil chart. And then we're seeing, yesterday stocks took a little bit of a hit, particularly the technology stocks, the Nasdaq, but we're seeing a fairly significant retracement. So one of the topics Brian I know likes to talk quite a bit about is parabolic retracements, and I'm sure somewhere in here we're probably going to talk about inflation and unemployment because it still is such a hot topic of the day. And we'll even throw out an old educational term that I was trying to recall, the Phillips curve, the inverse relationship between unemployment and inflation, and how the Fed has two mandates. And we're the only one that's got that. And it's rather interesting how we play around with both interest rates and unemployment rates, or inflation rates. So in any case, let's get into it. Brian, I'm going to flip it over to you. I figure we'll start. I don't know where you want to start. You want to start with oil first?
Yeah, there's a couple things already this morning. Like I said, I typically like to start off with what we're seeing. I've been watching this one kick up. The pound yen has now moved 100 pips in 24 hours. It was like ticking up. It was like 97, 98, 99 as you were talking. I was like, oh, it's so close. Hit 100, hit 100. So it went ahead and hit 100. There was actually, and if you're wondering why, there's some, again, we've been talking about pound, strength for a while. There was some data coming out, and this is interesting, right? Because we're like talking about, other parts of the world getting it and selling it here, and China, Japan, and South Korea just said that they're going to help India and focus on developing countries, again, leading the way kind of globally. And then the UK vaccine minister just said, we're going to give AstraZeneca and Pfizer options for third COVID shot. So we can't even get people to get number one. And the UK has advanced so fast that they are already on number 3. And remember, their system was a little bit different. It was everybody gets one first, and then we'll roll through. But they already have a plan going forward. And again, hats off to the UK.
Yeah,
not many people have a plan and a process that they're following. I still don't feel like we necessarily have a plan here. Like I said, Maryland's like, hey, we're running out of people to vaccinate. But, there's still so many questions out there. Is school going to go back? Texas and Florida, they're in the full YOLO mode. There is no restrictions whatsoever. Like, we're back to what we used to be. So hats off to us. So who knows? It's kind of crazy. As far as what back to normal looks like, ADP non-farm blew it out of the water today. Again, wasn't as high as the forecast, but there was an adjustment last time, meaning there was more jobs than had previously been expected. The forecast was for 872, so it didn't come in as high, but again, a lot of that has to do with the previous number as well. So, but at the end of the day, there's still 742,000 new jobs from April to May. So, again, big numbers here, and you can see last time there was about a 50,000 difference, and this one's a little bit short, right? About 70,000 less or whatever. But for the most part, you can see how we're picking up, right? February was 48, March number was 203, the end of March was 557. They expect this one to be higher, but it's another 200,000. So I mean, we're just rolling in the right direction as far as recovery looks like. So the services number at 10 o'clock today will be interesting. Being at 10 o'clock, it is one of those possible news reversal time frames. Remember, the manufacturing PMI actually was a disappointment. It was supposed to be 65, came in like 61. So still above 50, but not as strong as it was. This is supposed to be up a little bit at 64, and I would expect services, because people are opening back up and people are going back out the jobs. I would expect the services number still to be good. And then again, crude oil coming in right after that. And we're supposed to have a down draw. Again, if you guys listened to yesterday's presentation, I don't want to take anything away from it, but if you looked at the API numbers, that basically was the reason and the rationale for a lot of the movement in oil. Let's dive over into the oil chart. That's probably the easiest one to look at. And there's a bunch of boxes here. And again, this is kind of a teaching point today. for those, and yesterday I tried to explain what all these circles were, and I don't know if it came through because you guys have been on again. These are the rules, right? Fourth hit is typically the one that goes through. We had 1, 2, 3. Number 4 is what broke. If we did the same thing up top, here's that same zone. And again, the blue box was the European session yesterday. Here was the U.S. session. But there's 1, there's 2, there's 3, and magically number 4
boom,
goes
right
right
on
through.
4, right?
Yep. So again, it just repeats. The cycle repeats itself again and again and again and again. Could you have taken it short off the first one? Yeah, absolutely. It was it was actually a decent runner, 65, 64 down to 64.96. So again, like a 60-point move or 60-cent move in that one. And again, where we're at right now, we did have a level a little bit above, but unfortunately, there wasn't enough risk to reward there to be able to take shorts off of that. Interestingly enough, it is actually kind of going sideways and basing in that level. Now, I've already marked it off right now, and we're approaching where I'm going to start putting the next orange box. And I feel like this will help you guys understand how to trade oil more. Because like I said, we typically have one of the two markets move. Like an example over here would be kind of the same thing. Well, if we go back to 3 o'clock, right? The 3 o'clock move is here to here. And that should be the blue box. Actually, just move this over. Make this a little bit easier for you guys, just so you can see it. I want to make sure we stay consistent with it. Oh, Princess is awake. I just heard her moaning in the living room.
There you go.
Nobody's like, why am I alone? Why am I alone? And actually, there's the 9 o'clock. This one should go back 1, and there we go to the end of the day right there. So you can see it typically is one of the two sessions that moves. So far today, we've seen really no movement. There was a little pop from the API. Now we're basing sideways. So at this point, I'd be looking almost for a push higher. The number's expected to be negative. If it comes in much more negative than expected, oil has been very sensitive to upward movements. So it could be the situation where we're looking at, maybe an orange box that comes up in this direction for the day. Like I said, because it is small, I mean, could it just basically maintain and do one of these? Yeah, it could. Right? It absolutely could. The market do anything at once. But again, you guys can see for the different days of oil, it tends to be one session of big movement. And right now, this is rather small. I mean, we take it back to the Asian session. That's what it looks like. It just hasn't moved. It hasn't pushed anywhere. So even though we've had kind of 2 days of nice movement, we haven't seen it thus far today. So I'm kind of thinking that we'll get it. It's very rare that we go 3 sessions with oil with absolutely no movement, particularly on an oil inventory day. And again, the way that it's set up, we've been basing through here. I mean, if I remove this blue area just to kind of make it cleaner, or actually, you know what? I'll just use the blue area. That's fine too. You can see that we're really kind of focusing in on kind of this level right here, right? Came through, again, we touched it, hit it, came back up and touched it again, peaked above. So it's definitely kind of stabilizing itself around that yellow area. And this was an area that we had seen by our sellers in the past. So overall, we're still short bias, but we need to find a short entry trade. I think 67.30 is a decent level. If I bring it back, let's do it on the hourly so it's easier to find. You guys can see what that level actually looks like. And it was a very small one. It's not the peak, but it was a nice drop. And then there was on an hourly basis quite a lot of movement.
That was a ways back.
Yeah, we're talking about the 8th of March. So it's been a while. And again, nice movement off of that level. Yeah, nice movement off the level. So that's why I would say that it's a possible level. But then, I mean, really, if we start talking about the peak just right above it, we're back up at $68.
We're punching at highs. Yeah.
I mean, and again, with recovery coming, those numbers, I mean, people are starting to drive and people are going back to work. So it's kind of
right. So let's. I just do want to take a peek over at oil on the Nadex charts, and Brian's got this level right up here. I mean, we're just chopping sideways. I put up. How do you want to play it? If you think it's going to punch higher, you could potentially go long a binary option. I mean, we're just kind of sitting right here. If you thought no, we're going sideways, and you're looking for that pullback, you could always sell a binary option. We don't really know what it's going to do, but it is, oil is in an uptrend. I mean, you can clearly see that in the chart. It's had some pullbacks early this week, but we're pushing higher because we're seeing inflation, but we're also seeing economic recovery. We're seeing more jobs, more people going back to work. So it's part of the reason why we're seeing that. Now, we don't know what the oil inventory report is going to look like. So again, at 10:30 a.m. Eastern. By the way, if you wanted to play this another way, and I just thought I would kind of show it just quickly, I'm going to jump over to the call spreads. And let me bring up the oil call spreads. And I got to click on one of them. There we go. And it does shade the region, all right, where the call spreads are. So it does make it easy. And we are, just because we've gone sideways since we printed these call spreads. If you thought it were going lower, you could sell a call spread, and you could see that you're
Come here.
Jin's up.
Somebody's unhappy. She's like, hold on,
Oh.
I'll mute here for you guys.
Okay. Good morning. She'll be okay. All right. If you want to go short, I mean, there you can see this is the range of the call spread. You're in the red, and you can see your risk is pretty small, $36 to a potential reward if it pulled all the way back down, 260. And you trade out of call spreads, by the way. You put them on. If you get the move you're looking for, you just unwind your position. If you thought it were going higher, there's a different one, right? So there are call spreads might be an interesting way to play oil today, depending upon which direction you might think it's going, or as it starts to show you which direction it's going to go and you want to jump on, you could either look at the binary options, or you could take a look at the call spreads. It just is sort of lining up today to be an interesting opportunity. Again, 10:30 Eastern, 9:30 Central, and it's not making a big move before the number. So we'll wait and see what impact the U.S. oil inventory report holds for us.
And remember, guys, if you didn't attend yesterday's session, you can watch. I don't know, Todd, are the recordings up already or no?
No, they'll be up within a day or so. It takes us a few days to render them, but we'll get them up there.
And guys, if you haven't watched it, I gave 3 different ways to enter oil positions, whether it be pre, kind of the session open, the pre-release, or the retracement afterwards. Again, if you guys were doing the homework and you attended yesterday's session, I said you should pick one of those 3 and figure out what asset you're using today to figure out how to take this in demo. Right now, we haven't seen really any type of movement. Had you taken a European session open, there's been no move, but we're approaching the U.S. session open right now. With the lack of kind of movement out there and the news that we've seen, maybe we have a pre, and again, we won't know that for another hour and a half. But we could also just wait and say, hey, listen, maybe we'll take that post. If we do spike up and we hit that 76.30 level, that could be our reversal level today for profit taking. So there's a couple different scenarios that you can play. And again, if you have no idea what I'm talking about, as soon as the videos are posted, definitely make sure you go out there and watch that. As I said, I presented 3 different ways that you could play oil releases, and really any release, but oil in particular. This is, it's setting up to where, we haven't seen the movement with the session open, but that means we, again, because there was no movement in the UK session, it means that we have a higher probability of movement or some type of reaction in the US session. So again, it's kind of limited.
Right. Yep. And it's amplified by the fact that the new economic report's coming out. So
Yep. So
see what happens. All right. Real quickly, we mentioned we were going to touch on NASDAQ. Let's just take a quick peek at NASDAQ because it is making a bit of a parabolic retracement. And
so if you've been following for a while, again, we talked about kind of this Harry Potter, this going, this breaking of this level over here. We had it drawn from a couple days ago. And again, we were waiting, and it hit it again, dropped through. It actually pulled back and grabbed. If I extend, you can see we dropped, pulled, and came back to grab that level. And then, do you expect this much of a drop, in one day off of parabolic? No. We were looking for at least a 1 to 3 because we knew we had some buyers, but it just sliced through. So imagine taking a call spread or even potentially a knockout or a binary in this one. I mean, you take something a little bit farther out of the money based off the time that it hit. I mean, it just blew through everything. I mean, it was just a great trade. Again, parabolic move, and we're seeing a retracement. And remember, and again, this will come back up if you guys haven't signed up for the next. I don't think the link's up or whatever for the next education.
No, we'll get it up there. That's okay. Out in June, but as we get closer.
Parabolic retracement is what I'm going to be covering on that one. And again, if you guys wanted to know why this turned right here, that'll be inside of that webinar. So, I mean, here's the parabolic move. It's retraced, almost 80%, 90% up. And actually, it's right where you should have taken your profit. I would say, is this a level that we go long from going further? No, I mean, it was a level we were looking to get short from. Keep it as an area of interest. It's kind of smack sitting in the middle at this point. Could we have another sell off of that one? We could. Again, based off the reaction, it was pretty nice. It would be coming in here at approximately 13,691. Let me change it back to yellow so you guys are not like, oh, no, you said go long. No, I didn't say go long. But that would be an area, again, you got to watch out for it. This is such a huge, powerful bit of movement. The only way to get big movement like this is to have big money really step into the market. Especially in the middle of the day at 11 o'clock. That's not just a couple after hours traders, fat finger and something. That's a lot of selling pressure being put in. So, it is another area that we need to watch out for. And again, there is selling coming in right above. Here was the European session open. And here's just another example. I mean, here's the European session. We took it to like 9 o'clock right there. That was basically the European session movement. And then all of a sudden the U.S. session came in, and boom, that's the type of movement we have.
I think part of that was also a reaction to Yellen. saying
Yeah,
inflation's really heating up, and she makes, even though she's going to make some
it's
statements too. So
yeah. I mean, it's and we
people listen.
like I said, Uncle Warren said he sees significant inflation. For Yellen and Powell to say, "Nah, it's transitory, it's just going away," is really degrading their position of power. When you're denying something that everybody else out in the world is seeing, you question whether or not you can trust anything they say going forward. So they have to start acknowledging it when all the big, advisory firms, all the numbers we're seeing, and again, a lot of it isn't energy, but it's starting to creep up
Yep.
everywhere else as well. So,
All right. With that, any questions for Nadex, please email us, customerservice@nadex.com. We are here to help. Any questions about the products, platform, or your account? Brian is also accessible. Feel free to email him
we're
at
soothing babies. I got it.
support at keeptradingsimple.com. I love it. And with that, pay attention to oil today. At 10:30 this morning, 9:30 Central. There could be some potential opportunity there. And we'll see what happens as the U.S. equity markets open, but they're all looking to open a bit in the green, reversing some of yesterday's losses. We will catch you again tomorrow morning. We want to wish you all good luck in the markets. Thanks, everyone.